everyone, my name is Uch and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're going to be reacting to the second trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth. Now I've heard a lot about this new movie. I heard that we're going to have two. I've heard that the new D-Rex, the new mutant dinosaur, the D-Rex has an official name, and we're gonna get two mutant dinosaurs. So that's gonna be amazing. Yeah, that is gonna. Yeah, stick around to the end to find out what the new what the new D-Rex. Stick around to the end. Stick around till the end to find out what the D-Rex's actual name is. And Scooby's back. Hey Scooby, say hi. Say hi. No? Okay, let me just. He's gonna be joining us today, as usual, with all of my reaction and breakdown videos. But without further ado, let's jump straight in. Wow, that is. Oh.
On the island we're headed to, 24 species have survived there alone.
Wow.
Theme park owners did experimental work, leaving only the worst ones here.
Look at that T-Rex. Wow.
Wow. Every day or ever.
Let's go.
If we get this DNA, millions of lives are saved.
Why is there a temple here?
Maybe we should make this quick, huh?
Wow. Wow.
We put ourselves in a place where we don't belong.
This is amazing.
Survival is a long shot.
That's kind of our specialty.
She's scared.
Oh.
She's scared of.
Ow.
We're not gonna let you get hurt, okay?
Then was the source. We found it? No, it found us.
Jurassic World Rebirth. Wow, that was amazing. Alright, now that we've reacted to the trailer, let's break it down. The trailer begins with a lab that's obviously an engine lab. We know this because there's two engine logos over here. Then we see a capsule that houses that's containing a giant mutant dinosaur. Then it says, and here then we see a label that says Mutadon. Then it says Raptor, meaning this capsule actually is actually containing the Mutadon. Yeah, we can see that because there's a body of a mutant dinosaur. Then we see a creature that's being studied on this table. I don't know why, but they're studying it anyway. Then we see a scientist watching on the computers, which shows security footage of people shooting at some dinosaur. Then the scientist turns on the alarm. Then the two scientists rush out of the cage, but unfortunately for this guy, the door shuts between the two of them. Then we see the giant D-Rex lowering its head towards this unlucky guy. This scene is actually very similar to This scene is actually very similar to Godzilla 2014 and Star Wars Rogue One. Gareth Edwards. The two films Gareth Edwards made. Then we see the D-Rex reaching out. Then we see the D-Rex reaching its arm towards this scientist, trying to grab him. And then we see then later on we see the island. This shot is actually very similar to the shot we saw in the first trailer. And I think I've already said this before in my previous Jurassic World Rebirth trailer breakdown. Link in the description, by the way. But I'm gonna I'm gonna actually say that this island actually reminds me of Skull Island. Yeah, Monsterverse Skull Island, not Peter Jackson's Skull Island. Then we see Zora Bennett, played by Scarlett Johansson. Then we see Duncan Kincaid, played by Mahershala Ali. Then we see Dr. Henry Loomis, played by Jonathan Bailey, and they're in a boat. However, you notice, right here, we see what looks like to be a kitchen. There's like pots and pans and a radio. And we also see a coffee machine. And we see Rupert Friend's character, Martin Krebs, holding a cup of coffee. I think it was. Then we see a sign on this fence that says, Danger 10,000 volts. The same sign seen in the first Jurassic Park movie. And this is actually in front of an amber mining facility. Then we see the creature that we saw in then we see the creature that was in this capsule, a two-headed Mutodon. Yeah, it's got multiple arms and two heads. Looks very similar to the two-headed Velociraptor we saw in the first trailer. Now, yeah, this actually is very... However, it does look a little bit like a dragon because of the wings and the heads. They do look a little bit dragon-like. And then we see the T-Rex. Wow, oh, this is actually a really good T-Rex. Man, I really love this T-Rex. Then we see the T-Rex. Then we see this family on a raft, and they're trying to escape from the T-Rex, but then the T-Rex dips itself into the river and swims after them. This is actually a reference to the first Jurassic Park novel. Yeah, this is actually a reference to the first Jurassic Park novel, where the adult T-Rex tries to attack Alan, Lex, and Tim by dipping itself into the river, and it swims after them very much like a crocodile. The only reason they survive is all because the juvenile T-Rex challenges the adult. Yeah, this is all. Then we see the T-Rex attacking the raft again, very similar to the first Jurassic Park novel. Then we see the T-Rex dipping its head in the water, trying to eat this guy. Very similar. We saw this shot in the first trailer. Then we see the T-Rex roaring. Then we see the T-Rex playing with the raft like it's a toy, but the only reason he's playing with the raft is all because he's trying to get the kid that's inside of the raft. Then the T-Rex roars. Then the T-Rex roars throughout the trailer, catching the attention of Zora, Duncan, and Henry. Then we see a herd of Titanosauruses. We saw these creatures in the first trailer, and if you look closely, the fins on these Titanosauruses, the spines on these Titanosauruses are actually folding down. But this could be like this could be like a mating display, and we do see the Titanosauruses sporting different color schemes. Really nice to see that. And if you look closely, we see a bird landing on this Titanosaur. However, this probably isn't a bird. This probably is a Rhamphorhynchus, a pterosaur that is rumored to appear in this film. Then we see the same. I can't believe it. Hold on. Then we see the same shot we saw in the first trailer, but it's actually really bright. The other one was really dark. Gave me like Peter Jackson's King Kong vibes. This one now is like really dark. I mean, this one is like really bright. And then we see Dr. Henry Loomis entering the temple. Then he goes on and says that if they collect this DNA sample, millions of lives will be saved. Yeah, they are actually collecting 3 DNA samples from a Quetzalcoatlus, Mosasaurus, and a Titanosaurus, so they can create a cure for heart disease. Then they go on and talk about how Parkergenics is actually trying to fix this problem. Then later on we see the Quetzalcoatlus entering the temple. We saw this in the previous trailer. However, if you look closely, as this Quetzalcoatlus enters the temple, its head moves for a few seconds. Hold on, maybe if I slow it down a bit. Okay, that was yeah. If you look closely, as this Quetzalcoatlus is entering the temple, its head stays still for a few seconds, but its body still moves. So maybe the Quetzalcoatlus is very similar to modern birds. You know, maybe this Quetzalcoatlus actually has gyroscopic abilities, where when an animal is focused on something, its head, like when an animal is focused on something, its head stays still, but its body moves. Then we see the Quetzalcoatlus attacking Henry. Then it tries to peck at both Zora and Henry, and we do see the statue. Okay, I shouldn't have clicked that. Then this, yeah, and then we see the heads of giant mythological serpents. Then we see Martin Krebs looking up at a helicopter that's been hanging there. Which actually reminds me of it actually reminds me of that scene in Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous season 3, where when a helicopter crashed into a tree, where the helicopter Kenji, Sammy, and Ben were in crashed. They were stuck in the tree, but then they got out. Yeah, it's and it also reminds me of Jurassic Park 3, where the plane Paul Kirby, Amanda Kirby, Billy Brennan, and Alan Grant were in crashed into a tree, but then it got attacked by the Spinosaurus. However, we also see a dead pilot. Yeah, in this helicopter we see the rotting corpse of a pilot holding a gun. Maybe Martin Krebs will actually take this gun so he can defend himself against the dinosaurs. Then later on we see Henry shooting a flare into the sky, very similar to Godzilla 2014, where the military soldiers shoot a flare in the sky to see Godzilla. However, this area looks very circular. This looks like a raptor paddock. It's very circular. This could be a raptor paddock, similar to the Jurassic World raptor paddock where Blue, Charlie, Echo, and Delta were in. So this area could house raptors. Then we see the Aquilops, a dinosaur. Now, I have never heard. Now, if you don't know what Aquilops is, Aquilops is a dinosaur that existed in the early Cretaceous period. And it lived in North America. It's a ceratopsian dinosaur, meaning it's related to dinosaurs like Triceratops, Pentaceratops, Torosaurus, Styracosaurus, Sinoceratops, Pachyrhinosaurus, those types of dinosaurs. And I don't know why, but actually I know. And I don't know why, but this Aquilops looked just like Scooby. It looked very similar to Scooby. It looks, because it's like the size of a puppy, and it has adorable eyes like a puppy. I don't know why, but it does look like my dog Scooby. Except it doesn't have fur on it. Aquilops was rumored to appear in this movie because there were actually toys of this dinosaur. And now we get to see it. However, this kid is housing the Aquilops in her backpack. She probably found it on the floor. She probably found it and took it with her while she was trying to escape the T-Rex. Then we see the Distortus Rex in the fog. And you can see it actually looks like a T-Rex. Like I said, this is actually a failed attempt at creating a T-Rex. Its name. Okay, now get ready. The T-Rex is actual name is the Distortus Rex, thanks to a toy that was released earlier. And it was called Distortus Rex. Then we get to see the little arms. Like I said, this D-Rex, it's like a mixture of a Rancor, a Xenomorph, a T-Rex, and a Muto combined. Then we see Duncan waving his flare, but then he looks back at him, meaning he might need to run. Then Zora screams run, asking Duncan to run away from this giant mutant dinosaur. Then we get to see the face of the Distortus Rex. Now, in the first trailer, we didn't get to see much of the D-Rex. I mean, we only got to see its like face and arms. Now we get to actually see what this creature looks like. Then later on we see. Then later on, Duncan says, "I won't let anybody hurt you." He's probably talking to this person right here. I don't know the name. Then we see a gas station in this scene. It says Qualtech, very similar to the Lost World. However, we do see that there's a phone here and a bicycle. This could mean someone was here on the island earlier. Maybe, I don't know. Then we get to see the Mutadon. Yep, this is actually a failed attempt at creating a hybrid. It said earlier it was revealed that the Mutadon was actually a mix between a Velociraptor and a Pteranodon, which was weird to me, since that's not what you would call a mutant. A mutant is like a failed attempt at creating something, like with the D-Rex. Combining two creatures together, that's more of like a hybrid. You know, like with Indominus Rex, they combined Velociraptor and Tyrannosaurus Rex DNA. Indoraptor, they combined Indominus Rex and Velociraptor DNA, or Scorpius Rex. Those kinds of, or the Spinoceratops. Spinosaurus DNA and Sinoceratops DNA mixed together. That's it. The Indominus Rex, the Indoraptor Indominus Rex, Scorpius Rex, and the Spinoceratops are actually considered hybrids. However, I'm guessing this is like a failed attempt at creating a Velociraptor and Pteranodon hybrid. Yeah, maybe this is actually a failed mutant hybrid dinosaur, which is cool. Then we see Then we see this person kicking the Mutadon and shutting the door. Then we see Zora hiding behind this pillar, trying not to attract the Mutadon's attention. Then we get to see what the Mutadon actually looks like. It has bumps on its back. Now, it actually has bumps on its back. This actually looks kind of similar to the skull crawlers from Kong Skull Island and Godzilla vs. Kong. Because the skull crawler actually has bumps on its back protruding. And they were like normal human, and they were like and they looked very similar to normal human vertebrae. This actually looked very similar to the skull crawlers, especially Ramarak. However, it does have wings, which actually gives it a more dragon-like appearance. Yeah, because this is like a lot of dinosaurs don't have wings. This actually looked very similar to a dragon. Pictures of this creature actually showed that it actually looked like a dragon. It did look like a dragon because of the head shape and the wings. Then Zora runs and screams at this Mutadon, trying to attract its attention. But then the Mutadon barely misses and hits itself on a tire of a truck. Then we see the Mosasaurus scene. We see a boat, and then Martin Krebs says, "The Mosasaurus. Did we find it?" Then Henry says, "No, it found us." Then we see what the Mosasaurus looks like. It's really big. It is big. It's just a lot sleeker. It kind of reminds me of yeah. Mosasaurus isn't bad, but this Mosasaurus isn't bad, but I kind of prefer the original Jurassic World Mosasaurus way better. Then the Mosasaurus rubs its back against the boat, and then rubs the boat against the mountain, trying to shipwreck it. Then later on, we see Zora dangling off of the boat, and we see the Mosasaurus's eye, and it's looking right down at Zora as she dangles, but then she's able to get up. But then she's able to get up on the boat before the Mosasaurus attacks her. Then later on, we see the Mosasaurus breaching, very similar to a whale. Yeah, because whales are able to breach. Then we get to see the official title for this movie, and we get to see the official release date. It's coming in cinemas. It's actually coming in Australian cinemas July 3rd. I'm saying July 3rd because I'm only saying Australian cinemas because in America it's coming out in July 2nd. It's coming out on the 2nd of July. Yeah. Alright, so that was the official reaction and breakdown of the second trailer for the Jurassic World Rebirth movie. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.